ladies and gentlemen, we came here to talk about something very specific, and that is the recent development of Printful appearing as a print provider on the Printify network. What does that mean for you? And that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So let me just bring you up to speed with the lay of the land as it stands currently. Well, first of all, the merger was announced back in November, and ever since then, we've been working together to see exactly how we can provide both merchant communities with maximum value, because both brands will be operating separately for the time being under one company under one company structure, but each brand will be operating as its own entity, Printful and Printify. And they're starting this relationship with us on our platform by bringing in 38 products, which will expand very, very soon into more products and more product categories, and as well as offering what I think is the main advantage of Printful being on the platform, and that, ladies and gentlemen, hands down is embroidery. Okay, the fact that we can now offer Printful embroidered products on the Printify platform, I think, is an absolute game changer. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. But I just put up here a few of my favorite embroidered products, like this Columbia fleece jacket. I mean, that's something you would find at a high-end store for a pretty penny. And now you're able to offer that with a customized design to your customers, as well as the Champion unisex packable jacket. This is just kind of my style. I really enjoy this. But this is the kind of product and product design that you can level up to. I think it's absolutely awesome. But the number one product on embroidery, hands down, it's gonna be hats, and we're going to be exploring that a little bit today. In fact, when I used to work with our big merchants and we didn't have embroidered products, or we had subpar embroidered products, I would just openly tell them, well, if you're looking for the best hat on the market, go to Printful. And what's cool, like today, like I don't have to feel bad about telling anybody that, because now we're married and we're part of the same family, and it's beautiful. But yeah, hats, absolutely love them. We're going to go over those a little bit later today. But to help me do this, please allow me to introduce our guest for today. It's going to be Liz joining us from the Printful YouTube channel as she comes into the studio. Liz, it's an absolute pleasure to have you joining us today. First of all, thank you, and how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling fantastic. It's been so long since I've been on this channel right here. What has it been, 6 months, 7 at this point?
Yeah, and we have a lot more to talk about, because when you were first on the channel, everything was brand new. People were wondering, what does this mean? And at that time, we just didn't have much to say. But that's all changed today. But let me just ask you, Liz, think about this time last year. Would you even imagine that we would be sitting here at the same table, staring into the same camera?
I feel like if somebody said that, it would only ever be a joke. It would only ever be just kind of no way in hell, this is maybe, when hell freezes over, this is what's going to happen. But that goes to show, never think that something is impossible. The impossible is always possible, and sometimes it's even better than you would have ever thought.
Well, wonderful. Well, Liz, let's start by addressing a few of the frequently asked questions, just kind of get those out of the way, and then we'll move on with the rest of our discussion. How does that sound?
Okay, sounds good.
Can I get Printful products cheaper through Printify? That's one I hear a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine exactly why people would be asking that. So the way that it works is on the two platforms, you might see two different price tags, but that doesn't mean that the cost of the actual products that you're going to incur at the end of the process is going to be different. There's shipping costs that go into it. There's digitization fees. There's different subscription fees that different platforms have. So at the end, the cost is going to be the same, but you might see different pricing in some places.
Right. So the journey to get to the price may be different, but once you get to the final price, you're ended up with the same number.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. All right. Question number 2. What does this mean for the future of the Printify catalog? Well, I think I can answer this one. It's getting bigger and it's getting better, right?
Exactly. And on top of that, the fantastic thing to note right now is that not only has it gotten better, but there is this implicit promise in this that it is going to continue to get bigger and better.
Very, very well said. Would this have any effect on Printify prices?
No,
absolutely not. We can just answer that shortly and quickly. No, it's not going to affect your prices. Okay. So what about my preferred print providers? Are they going to be staying on the platform?
Absolutely, right? Like we are just another print provider on the Printify platform that has so many fantastic print providers. The benefit of the Printify platform is that there are so many different print providers to choose from with different offers and different strengths and different locations and stuff like that. And while we are the best of friends, it doesn't mean that we're going to be the only print provider or that it's going to in any way affect the choices that you have for you.
Right, and it stands to reason. I mean, we merged with Printful, who is in essence a print provider. It stands to reason that over time they would start showing up on the platform, and well, that day is today. Speaking of that, so let's talk about Printful as it relates to Printify Choice. Does this mean that Printify Choice equals Printful?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So the main reason is that Printify Choice is a fairly complex kind of system and feature that ensures that at any given time, you know what the best choice is for you. The way that it works is based on the amount of supply that different print providers have at different times, the demand that they're facing, different like economic factors that are going on in the world, the shipping destinations, and though like sometimes Printful will be the choice through Printify Choice, but it's definitely not, the only thing.
Exactly. I mean, we've got, I don't know, several dozen fulfillment providers all around the world. So it just stands to reason that if all the boxes are checked, it will go through Printify. But if another provider can offer better service or quicker delivery to your customer, or is closer to their shipping address, that's the one that Printify Choice is going to go with. It just expands the network, gives you more international reach. So it's just better for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Speaking of this international reach, I think it's important to notice talk about what this means for Printful joining the platform, because there is an exponential reach that you can now take advantage of either through Printify Choice or through Printful as a provider to reach international customers now, and you can do that from one listing, which is kind of revolutionary from the way we used to have to do it before. It's just easier, it's more streamlined, and gives you an opportunity to expand into other markets, which I think is beautiful.
Exactly, and I personally love the fact that through this kind of like partnership, something that Printful is able to do for Printify customers is help expand the offering in different countries. Because so many of our print locations, our facilities, are very much driven by exactly the same quality control standards, exactly the same equipment, so much kind of integration between the different locations around the world, meaning that you are able to feel all that much safer with fulfilling your products around the world.
Yeah, and suffice it to say, it's just easier to do business internationally now. So, and that's again another brick in building that POD empire that you could take advantage of. Speaking of expansion, it also this new development of Printful being on our network has allowed us to expand the opportunity to present you and your customers with branding opportunities. Now, this is super important during like high volume seasons, like the upcoming Q4 holiday season. That's going to be here sooner than you can even imagine. Gives us more capacity to fulfill these orders with fewer delays, which is going to mean you can fulfill more orders and have happier customers that come back the rest of the year to do business with you.
Exactly.
Moving right along, let's go ahead and switch gears and talk about the subject of the day, which is embroidery, okay? Folks, we've recently made some advancements to our embroidery here on the platform. First of all, by offering you larger print areas. Now, does that mean you have to make use of the entire print area? No, but it's there if you need to. It just basically broadens the canvas with which you get to design on certain products. So a bigger print area just means more freedom of expression when it comes to your designs. Also, there's some developments in the text editor as well that allows you to create super simple and quick designs using the already pre-designated 15 colors that are available for embroidery. And there's going to be more options coming later with more products like sweatshirts and hoodies and things like that. So plenty more to come down the pipe, but this is a great place to start. And in fact, I think you actually brought us some samples to take a look at that I would love to show to the audience.
Indeed, I did. So I come bearing gifts, believe it or not. I'm trying to like not knock everything over, but what I've brought you is a hat and another hat And another hat. And I brought you 5 hats. Are
Okay.
you happy with
Well,
that?
I'm glad you did because that's exactly what I wanted to focus on because, in my opinion, this is the strongest embroidery product in which there's a perfect mix of it's popular, it's in demand, and you can provide a stunning product in response. I mean, just look at the quality of the print on these hats.
Yeah, I made these designs like quite quickly, and what I personally love with embroidery, if you can kind of like see it a bit more here, these letters have outlines, making them so crisp and so clean against this white background. Truly beautiful. And there's a bit more here. So this one is a gnarlier hat.
I like
Yeah.
this one. This one's more my style because it's a bit distressed. This is the distressed vintage dad cap, right?
Exactly. And surprise, it has Velcro on the back.
Right.
which
And
is-
look, you're able to even put some
Yeah.
embroidery on the back here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of different placements as well, like across hats in general. Do you know this guy? Do you know who Tim is? Have you ever met Tim?
I've not met Tim personally, but I bet we're about to find out.
Yeah, so like if anyone is here who has watched anything on the Printful channel in regards to live streams, we've been creating products kind of like in real time. And this cat right here, his name is Tim, and the audience was so excited to make him into a punk that in the following live stream, a month later, we decided to oblige. So he has a mohawk and an earring and a bunch of stuff. So if you want to learn how to embroider, you can go over there and not embroider, but design for embroidery. You
There
can
you
go
go.
in there.
Yeah, and that's a great opportunity for us to plug your channel, folks. If you haven't had the chance, do yourself a favor, go over to the Printful side of things, check out what they've been doing over there, because a lot of the information is very applicable to anybody working with Printify. Just because it comes from Printful doesn't mean it's not useful information that you can take advantage of. So
Exactly.
check it out and subscribe.
It's a cozy time. I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay, what do you think in general?
I like it. Now, give me one of these beanies because I like these. Okay, we're moving out of the warmer weather right now, but just look at what you're able to come up with in terms of colors and just look at that. That's absolutely beautiful.
this?
I mean, you can imagine how well you could sell some of these during the Christmas season with a little personalization or something like that, especially during Christmas when the demand for embroidery significantly increases. Okay. But absolutely wonderful stuff. And my suggestion is start playing around with this stuff. Order some samples so you can get it in your hand and really you get that tactile sensation of what this embroidery is like in the hand. Okay, and because that's exactly the same experience that your customers are going to have as well. So it's important to understand that.
Precisely. Okay, I'm going to put some of these away, but let me
Okay.
know if you need to see anything about it again.
No problem. Well, let's while you're doing that, let's keep talking embroidery because we have some stuff planned for you in the near future, folks, in terms of getting you up to speed with embroidery so you can start employing these products. First of all, on June 24th, we're going to be doing an embroidery workshop with mentor Sarah from the Sellers Club. That'll be for free to watch on the Sellers Club. You can check that out just in a matter of days next week. And July 17th, there's going to be an embroidery masterclass by the aforementioned Cristina Umeres. And then in July, we're going to be rolling out some features to help you to facilitate the personalization process with embroidered products. And then in August, we're going to be rolling out some pre-digitized fonts for you to use in the text editor. So all sorts of stuff to keep your eye on the horizon. We got plenty more to come when it comes to embroidery.
Can I just say that those pre-digitized fonts is a dream come true. So many hat designs, especially in embroidery, are font-based and just like text-based. And to know for sure that a font is going to work and
Yeah.
you don't have to worry and measure every single little gap in between the letters, it's a blessing.
Exactly. So let's explore what we're talking about here in terms of designing and digitization and things like that, because I think that's important for our merchants to understand. First, let's talk about digitization. We've mentioned it a few times already. What exactly is digitization, and what does that mean for embroidered products?
Right. So you're going to have to cut me off if I get a little too into the nitty gritty,
Okay.
but I'm going to do my absolute best to explain how this works, especially if you've never created an embroidered product. You got to know this. So I'll kind of show this for you as a little example. see this line as a design when you're designing in whatever, like you're using Canva, Adobe Express, whatever it is, you will just see a line. If you were to draw it on paper, it would be a line. But for an embroidery machine, it kind of has to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with this very particular color. It's a very straightforward design, but the machine needs to know exactly where to go and how close to get to the next hole, to know exactly how to embroider this specific design. And the same goes for letters, especially like right here. They are kind of like filled and then there's a border around them. What is necessary for this to happen is basically a set of instructions. So it's not just the way that like a printer would just take an image and put it on there. The embroidery machine needs to know exactly what color to put in which spot and at what particular time to make sure that the threads are tight enough, to make sure that the design looks as close as possible to the original. Transferring a design into a digitized, file, a digitized set of instructions is tricky. And this is why this process is so important, because you can't just, embroider a design without digitizing it.
Yeah, and it's basically taking your design and putting it in a format in which this machine can interpret. Because the embroidery machine operates completely different than a traditional DTG printing machine. There are limitations to what it's able to do. It's important to familiarize yourself with those limitations so that when you're designing, you know exactly what it can and it cannot do. Okay, and it's important to note that the digitization process can take up to 36 hours, and that's in addition to production time. So what that means is the first time you submit a design for digitization, it's going to have to go through that process first before it can even enter the production cycle. But the good news is, once you have submitted a design for digitization, you don't have to digitize it again. That is, unless
you change its size or you change its color or you change anything about the actual design.
Exactly. Even a tiny alteration in the design signifies to our system that this is an entirely new product and this design needs to be sent for digitization, even if it's the most minute adjustment. So that's just something you have to be aware of. And right now, digitization for Printify products is still free. Will that last forever? Probably not. So if you are thinking about getting into embroidery, now's the time to do it, at least to get those designs into the digitization process so you don't have to pay for it later.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go ahead and move on and talk a little bit more about design for embroidery. Because we mentioned a little bit about it there, Liz, when we were talking about, the design elements and things like that. But what specifically about designing should our audience keep in mind?
Well, the best thing to do is to look at all the guidelines and to look at the guide. But the simplest way to think about it is to constantly remember that it is not printing, it is embroidery, right? So it is kind of a much more linear process than, just putting some sort of like shape onto paper. That way you can think about it and be like, okay, I shouldn't make tiny details because it's actual thread and it's not just ink going onto paper. You shouldn't put those details super close together because an embroidery machine can make a mistake and can make them and even the tiniest shift can, muddle your design and change it a lot. It's a very physical process. The needle is moving very quickly. Those things can happen, meaning that you should follow the guidelines to make sure that you can get the best outcome. This also goes for, super thin letters, anything that you would think would not work super well if you were just embroidering with thread over and over again.
Yeah, you just have to consider the limitations of the embroidery machine. I mean, stick with simple design, stay away from super thin elements. I remember working with a merchant years ago who was digitizing her designs for embroidery, and we were going through them, and there were so many that we had to eliminate because although the core of the image is beautiful, like once you would get to some of the outer designs, the elements started to get super thin. And we just simply couldn't digitize those, so we either had to rework the design or simply eliminate them. So just be mindful of that. And what we've done is that we have put together an embroidery guide. We'll pop that link into the chat. It's also in the description, outlining all these nuances and the vagaries of designing, outlining what is necessarily what's different between the DTG process and the embroidery process, just so you understand the ins and outs, so that when you do send a design for embroidery, it'll be accepted and the process won't be delayed. We also have a few very helpful videos that we've put together here on the Printify side of things, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very surprised-looking grandma, although very handsome-looking grandma on the video on the left can help illuminate part of the process for you. I mean, whether you're getting your stuff from Printify or Printful, I mean, the point being is that this information is out there, and we're going to keep providing it for you so that so you have everything you need to get up and running with embroidery.
That grandma video is perhaps my favorite video on the channel.
Well,
ever.
thank you, Liz. All right. Well, folks, click on it, watch it. It's in the description as well. Let's see if we can get those views up to 5 million by the end of the week. What do you say? All right, folks. And while you're at it, subscribe. Okay. So great. So our audience loves embroidery. They've picked out. They know how to design. How the heck do you market these products in today's market? Okay. So let's go over some embroidery marketing tactics. First of all, it's important to understand who your audience is. Who's out there buying embroidery? And based on our research, this is who is. First of all, the premium shoppers. I mean, it's a premium service with which you can charge a premium price. That means your customers are buying are expecting a premium experience. That's exactly what embroidery delivers. Also, it's great for like niche communities, like sports teams and clubs, or like bachelorette parties or things like that. And also, like, it's great for corporate merch. Like, if you have a business and you want to project an air of knowledge that you are and your employees are the place to go for your particular service.
It looks classy.
It looks classy.
It
just looks classy. That is also something to consider when you're looking for your target customer. And also, gift buyers. Now this is super important, especially now that we have the holiday season like literally on the horizon. People are out there looking for cool stuff to buy for people, and giving somebody an embroidered product. That's one way. That's one way to really up your social status at Christmas time.
That, and also there's two things to consider here. So one, it's very nice to do also like maybe a personalized embroidered product with some, initials embroidered in there. That's super cute. But there is a great reason why when it comes to the gifting holidays, embroidery gets super popular, is because people are more inclined to get something nicer as a gift than they would for themselves. So it's just a way to kind of like show, oh, I care about you a lot. Here's an embroidered hat.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was talking with somebody the other day here about personalization as it relates to embroidery. And I think that is going to be a major aspect of selling embroidered products, because we actually have quite a few merchants that are selling personalized embroidery products right now. And that process is going to improve. I mean, we mentioned in July, we're going to be rolling out some new features for that. So it's definitely something to keep in mind, folks. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and keep this rolling and talk about how to build a strong value proposal. Folks, if you've been watching the show, we pound down on value proposals and perceived value in order to sell your products. Embroidered products are no exception. And just quickly, a value proposition is the case that you make to your customer as to why they should purchase your products versus at your set price versus keeping that money in their pocket or spending it with your competition. And here, it's just super important to build that value up in your customer's mind to the point where they're better off buying your product versus keeping that money in their pocket. And you do this by by marketing it as a premium product and emphasizing the durability of it. Okay. This isn't a print on a shirt. This is actually fibers woven into a garment. Okay, they're there to stay, and regardless of the amount of wear and tear you put on it, it's going to remain. It's going to retain its premium look.
I mean, don't sandpaper your embroidery, but generally.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm talking normal use here. Okay, yeah. If you're buying an embroidered hat just to sit there with a piece of sandpaper, I mean, you've got more things to deal with. Okay. But then highlight the personalization of this process as well. I mean, we mentioned that I think this is going to be a really big portion of this particular market, and I stand by that. I'll be sure to bring you folks information on that once it starts to come in. If you are going to display this and look at the picture that you see on your screen, show that texture with the visuals. You can see right here. You can see how the light plays off that Surf Coast design on this hoodie. And what that's going to do, either consciously or subconsciously with your customer, they're going to recognize that this design has some heft, it has some weight to it, okay? And that's going to justify them paying a little bit extra for it because they're receiving something a little bit extra.
And this specific thing is one of my favorite pieces of advice to give sellers is this is the biggest reason to order samples. Samples are fantastic for different reasons. I mean, A, you get to see what your product looks like. B, you get to use it in like giveaways and stuff like that. But to me, taking maybe close-up custom photos, maybe with like a slightly custom setting all around it, is going to make your shop look so much more premium immediately, right? Mock-ups are fantastic, and mock-ups have come such a long way to make your products look incredible, but nothing beats that super close-up, realistic, very true to life actual photo.
Excellently put. And folks, if you are offering embroidery for the first time, or perhaps maybe your audience isn't familiar with embroidery, it's important for you to bring them up to speed on the value there because they may not understand it right away. So you may have to educate your audience and just let them know that, hey, the reason I'm charging a little bit extra for this is because you're getting a little bit extra. This is what you can expect from the experience, and this is why that price is justified. So don't sleep on the fact that you have to make the case as to why embroidery is the right choice for your customers.
And importantly, don't undercharge as well. So not only is your reasoning going to support your pricing, but your pricing has to support your reasoning. When people are seeing a very, very cheap price for something that should be a bit more premium, and people understand that embroidery is going to cost a little bit more, they're going to assume something's wrong with it. There's no reason why I should be buying something as cheap as that.
Very well put. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, when it comes to embroidery, you can do no better than what we're offering here on the Printify platform via Printful. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you to start offering this now. Get yourself ready for the holiday season when the demand for this stuff really explodes.
And there's actually quite a few people with like embroidery experience in the chat. I saw somebody say that they have 20 years of experience in embroidery. So I'm just super excited for the Q&A later when we get to address like the nitty gritty. Whether you're a beginner or you're super experienced, go drop your questions. We are going to cover a bunch of stuff.
I love it. And if we can't answer the questions in the Q&A, we'll just pull that person off the chat and ask them to answer it with all that experience.